Today we'll discuss about what DevOps is, whether it's going to relate to you, what does a DevOps engineer's job responsibility is going to be, what is actually DevOps means, then how do we implement DevOps, how does it look like? Okay, we are going to see a lot. And this is what we'll see: who can work on DevOps, what is DevOps engineer's role, what does DevOps mean actually, what is the current state of SDLC, why we need DevOps in the first place, then what does the DevOps implementation look like in a high level. So the career in DevOps, a lot of people have a doubt like, okay, am I qualified to learn DevOps, or is it something which is suitable to me, to my existing job role? So a lot of people have those doubts. So let's clear them. The first one, when you want to understand whether you want to learn DevOps, is the entry barrier. So the only prerequisite for learning DevOps is the basic Linux operating system knowledge. So if you have that, you can easily start learning it. And today we know that a basic Linux knowledge is something people learn in their universities or even their colleges. So that's why the barrier for learning DevOps is far lesser than when compared to any other tool. Okay. So that's why it's easy for a person to start joining a training and understanding it. Okay. So a lot of times, right, the people who join these trainings, right, come under these categories. So let me tell you. So a lot of graduates or freshers will be joining. Middleware administrators like WebLogic, WebSphere administrators, JBoss administrators. These are the people also are someone who can learn and transition themselves to a DevOps engineer role. Linux administrators, not Linux, but the overall operating system administrators like Windows, Linux, AIX, all these people. Then programming. There are a lot of ETL developers. I have seen people joining. Okay, I don't know why ETL developers or this data warehousing developers. They also, a lot of people transition from their existing programming like SQL developers, right? They also transition to DevOps. I've seen many. Then QA testing, and a lot of people are doing manual or semi-automatic testing, right? They don't want to completely move to some Java-based Selenium or something because they may not be good at it. So they also transition themselves to DevOps. And application support and monitoring, the L1 teams or only the application support teams, right? Who wants to transition to a better role? Again, DevOps is something people choose. So a lot of people choose DevOps now because DevOps is very, very competitive in the market and there are hundreds of jobs right now. So every company needs to have a DevOps team, irrespective of whether it's a startup or it's a large company. That's the difference. Earlier, right, a lot of people were only seeing like 10 or 20 companies used to be there. Within your life, you used to join every company. Like first you go TCS, then Infosys, then IBM. So now, right, as a DevOps engineer, you do get a chance to work in startup, something like Zomato or Flipkart, or you also can easily go and work in Amazon because there are too many DevOps engineer roles in Amazon. So it means that the length and breadth of the jobs you can apply also drastically increases if you learn DevOps. Or else, if you're a traditional role, then you have some certain bracket of companies. You can't go beyond them. Okay. So, but what does DevOps is how it is going to affect an existing person or who is already working. So DevOps will transform a person with a single skill into a person with multidisciplinary skills. What does it mean? Let's take an example that you are a Oracle DBA. Okay. So as an Oracle DBA, your responsibilities will be only confined to the database. So you install the database, you configure the database, you apply all the best practices, you set up high availability, and you do regular maintenance. Like someone comes to you, and so beyond this, you don't care about what is application, what is release, what is configuration management, what is deployment, what is testing. You are not concerned about anything beyond your domain. That is how people work, right? Someone is Linux administrator, the Linux administrator will only install, do everything, but he doesn't know anything. But as a DevOps engineer, you will be involved in every stage of the application lifecycle. So application lifecycle is a term you should remember. Why? Because we don't call again the software lifecycle. The software lifecycle is a limited term. So once you come to DevOps, right, you talk about application lifecycle. Everything related to application is something we'll be involved in. Okay. Operating system is involved. Yes, we'll be involved. Coding. Yes. Deployment, configuration management, everything. So these multiple stages, right, as a DevOps, you'll be involved, not just involved, but you will be having work to do. So we'll be writing some kind of automation on all of these stages. So that's why a DevOps engineer person will be one of the most valuable asset in an enterprise. You will be more valuable than a data science person. Okay. A data science person can be easily removed, but you can't be removed. Okay. So that's why it is the most popular job role now. Okay, it is more popular than your cloud or more popular than your data science and big data. Okay, those all come in 2, 3, and 4, because you will have the exact information about what the application is, what is the configuration management to it, what is deployment strategy, what is the test strategy, what is your configuration management for that application, all of it. So who is a DevOps engineer? What does this guy do? A DevOps engineer is someone who understands SDLC. Yes. Why do I need to know SDLC? Because we all are going through that. Remember that in an IT world, right? When you go and sign a contract with the customer, for example, you go and sign with a Dubai bank. Okay, the Dubai person will tell you, okay, I don't know how to maintain my IT systems. I want you to maintain. You tell, yes, I can maintain easily. So you sign the contract and you tell, I'll maintain your IT system for you. So part of that contract signing, right, the Dubai bank will tell you, see, very often we want to update our website with new features or new images or new fonts or something. He tells you that, okay, constantly you need to support us. And whenever there's a change needs to be introduced in the system, you simply don't go to production and directly change the code, right? Or you don't go to any live website and change it. What we do, we follow a process, and that process is called SDLC, right? So we all know SDLC is there. We have multiple SDLC. We have this. We have agile. We have waterfall. But you need to know what does SDLC mean only from a theory perspective for a DevOps engineer. You don't need to be actively involved there. But that knowledge is needed for us. But what is the ultimate knowledge we need is you need to have understanding or experience working on a lot of automation tools. Yes, we need to know a lot of automation tools like Ansible, Jenkins, Git, Maven, Docker, Kubernetes. Okay, there are a lot of automation tools. All of these automation tools you need to have knowledge. And what are you going to use this automation knowledge to? What are you going to achieve? Is we are going to create something called the digital pipelines, or in simple terms, CI/CD pipelines, continuous integration and continuous delivery. So these two are the pipelines, or which are something called the heart of DevOps, and you will be hired to specifically create, maintain, and set up them. That's what the person's expectation would be when they are hiring you. They would like to streamline their complete code, build, deploy, and run. Okay, so this is what we learn, the CI/CD part, which is the most important part of a DevOps engineer. It's not about you knowing the tool. It is about how do you leverage the tool and create these pipelines is what a DevOps engineer's role will be. Okay, just because you know Jenkins doesn't mean that you're a DevOps engineer. You need to know how to leverage the Jenkins and create a pipeline. So if you still have a question, who's a DevOps engineer? A DevOps engineer is a person who works with the developers and the operations team to oversee the code release. For us, a code release is everything for an enterprise, because when the client comes in and tells you, okay, there are two new features we want to implement. So that time the release will be called enhancement release. Or when the client comes in and tells you there are a lot of bugs, we want you to fix it. It's going to be a bug release. These are the only two releases you'll have. One is adding new features, or other is fixing existing bug. That's why, right, when you go to your app store or play store, right, the company will just try to single line bug fixes, right? They'll not even tell you what are the bugs, and it is not, they are not even responsible to tell you, right? They'll tell you bug fixes, right? That is why. And do you often see new features? No, right? We only see features once in 2 months or 3 months, right? We don't see every month. We don't see new features in Google Chrome or WhatsApp, right? They only get new updates some 2, 3 months, or sometimes it may go to 6 months also. So that's why a lot of times we keep making the application more efficient, but very often we also add new features. So when this new feature, when the release comes in, right, we are going to assess these two teams to ensure that the release goes as smooth as possible. Why? Because for us as an IT company, we need to deliver the release on time. For example, your client has started advertising that, okay, on August 15th, they'll give offers. Okay, he has advertised the whole country, but and he has given you their IT system to maintain to us. And if we don't go on time, if we don't release on time, right, it's going to be a huge mess for the company, right? For us, it may be looking like, okay, I read software, I will write, and but for the client, right, it is a whole company on tech. That is why for us, releasing on time is one of the most basic things, and DevOps will help you achieve that. Okay, and you as a DevOps engineer are going to ensure that it is being achieved. So you are either a developer, existing developer, and who is interested in deployment operations, everything. So you may change your career, or you're already system administrator, any kind of system administrator who has a very much high interest in configuration and coding. So what do we cover? So we cover basics of DevOps, which is going to be today, Linux fundamentals, some basic commands we'll go through because I expect everyone to know that's a prerequisite, but still we go through a couple of commands so that you'll have the knowledge. Then version control with Git and GitHub is something we actually start. Then continuous deployment with Ansible, then containerization with Docker, then orchestration with Kubernetes, continuous integration with Jenkins, monitoring with Nagios, and there are two more small tools also we'll cover, JFrog and SonarCube also. Okay, so these are the tool chain we'll cover part of this training. Okay, and yes, we will go extensively inside, and we will go through a lot of what you call practice only. Very less will be part of theory, and more will be practice. So you'll not see this many slides later. So, for example, if you want why every company needs DevOps is there are huge issues without DevOps. That is why every company is very, very much eager to implement DevOps in their enterprise. So there may be some kind of problem, right? If there is no problem, no one will go and buy a new product or new method, right? Until unless you have some kind of a what you call a some features lacking or something lacking, we don't go and buy a product even from a basic what you call even something like a basic pen or pencil also, right? Until unless you don't see the meaning to buy, you don't spend it, right? So why companies are spending a lot of money buying all these tools, hiring new class of engineers is there are a lot of inherent problems which are there in the today's what you call IT industry, and that's why every company is there. And today it's 2020, most of the companies today have DevOps. Okay, this is not a starting stage of DevOps. 2017 was a starting of DevOps. Okay, 2020, 2019 was mature DevOps maturity came. So it means that now your role may be something you're replacing someone or you're adding to the existing team. But if you got a job in 2017, right, that time I think you may be the first person or you may be the person who is going to start the DevOps transformation. But today, right, it's 2020, so you'll be already joining an existing company, or you may be sometimes this DevOps engineer may be already shifting part of his second time. That will be your what you call the market scenario now. Okay, don't think okay every company started now. A lot of companies, 80% of the companies today have. So before DevOps, right, how did the situation was? If you know that properly, then you'll understand why you are learning DevOps. So prior to DevOps, right, we all know the two important teams, the development operation. These teams were working in complete isolation. Why they were in isolation? Because most of the times, right, both of the teams won't be under the same company. So if the development is given to TCS, then the operations will be given to IBM, or if the IBM gets the development, HCL will get the operation. So it means that very rarely you will see both of them in the same company itself. Even though if they are in the same company, in Chennai the development will be there, in Hyderabad this operations will be there. So all this kind of a remote thing or a, what you call a collaboration is needed. But the problem is when these guys understand that they are not around or they are not working the same building or same, these teams will be completely isolated, not terms of communication, but they don't share their information or they don't inform the current status to the other team. So the teams will not be aware of the status of the project from others' perspective. So developers will not properly communicate or give every information to the operations team what is the progress of their coding. Operations team also will not tell what is the progress of their configuration, installation, all of this. Because we all know everyone has their own manager, everyone should take care of their own team. So all of these things will lead to some obvious and unavoidable problems. And I told you the biggest problem is the release getting delayed. You know that whenever there's a delay in release, the client has a chance or a capability to fine us, and he'll fine you. Okay, because he'll tell, okay, within a year, one time we'll give you a chance to skip or what you call lose the timeline. If you often lose, right, he'll see 4 or 5 releases and he'll even leave you, right? So that's why whenever there's a release, right, people all will be very, very much tense because it should go live. Even though it's a small release, a release is a release. Okay. Yes, you may not know the importance of it sometimes, but your managers will know it. So, what are the problems? Lack of collaboration between the teams, and specifically the development team and operations team are isolated, and isolated, it is, see, though they are isolated, we know that we have this chatting tools and email tools, right? The problem is they don't communicate. Testing team and development team, one more area for isolation. The testing team will not be given proper information by the developers team what to check or what to test, and the testing team will again, unknowingly knowingly, they'll do some kind of a half baked testing, and the testing will not be enough, and when once it goes to production, they will start getting issues. Okay, a lot of time is spent in testing, deploying, and designing, which is a huge time waste, which can be completely automated. So again, this is something people should consider, so that again we have enough time for other activities. Manual code deployment will always lead to a risky deployment. Why? Because if a human is involved, if I ask him to open an XML file and change some properties, then copy a couple of files here, then deploy some Java code, restart a service. So if there are some series of actions someone do, part of deployment, he may unknowingly or mistakenly forget to perform one action, which ultimately leads into a wrong deployment. So that's why doing manual deployments is very risky. That is why in DevOps, right, everything should be done in an automated way. Even a file copy should not be done. Okay, there should be a proper way of completing it in an automated way, and no synchronization. People don't synchronize, people don't up to date each other, everything. So all of these situations made a lot of companies unhappy, and that is why people went to find solution for this. How can we have teams all on a single page? How can we have this automation in place? How can we automate a lot of tasks? How can we decrease this friction between the teams? All of these problems became a single solution, which was implementing DevOps in an enterprise. Okay, so what does DevOps mean? So DevOps is not a tool, okay? And DevOps is not an SDLC. Remember that, okay? A lot of people have doubts about DevOps is so shall we stop using Agile now? DevOps and Agile are completely different. Agile is a SDLC. DevOps is not SDLC, okay? DevOps cannot be categorized with anyone. Means you can't go and compare DevOps to anyone because it's completely different from everything. Okay. So then what does DevOps do? So DevOps is an approach and a culture with an objective to optimize your complete SDLC by bringing the development team and operations team closer. That is what DevOps will do. DevOps is not going to replace your SDLC. DevOps can be implemented along with your waterfall or along with your agile. But what it does is it is going to completely optimize your SDLC and ensure that your SDLC is going as expected or moving as smooth as possible. As smooth as possible means without any roadblocks, without any delays, without any kind of issues. Okay, and this is all possible again by bringing the development teams and operations teams closer. Closer means not asking them to sit in same room, but ensuring that the status of the project is known by everyone, and also each one is aware of the current status of the release. Okay, so DevOps is actually in a single line, you can tell it's a set of practices. Okay, so DevOps will define some practices. A practice is nothing but set of rules. You practice yoga. Yoga is nothing but set of rules, right? How to do this asana, how to do this asana. It's all about a set of rules you need to properly follow. If you properly follow, then you are doing yoga, right? The same way, DevOps is also set of practices. That's all. If you implement that practice, you can tell we are having DevOps. If you don't follow, people will tell you you're not following DevOps. So it is all those set of practices, and CI is a practice, CD is a practice. Okay, and this set of practices we needs to be implemented, and where operation teams and development teams participate together in the entire application lifecycle. So we would like them to participate, and remember that we are asking them to participate, but they won't participate. How do we achieve this? Is through a set of automation tools. Okay, so we want everyone to be part, or everyone to have information about the life cycle from the design, development, testing, and even to the production support. So it emphasizes on this what you call the communication, collaboration, and integration between the teams, and all of this will be achieved through tools. Collaboration is one tool, communication is through a tool, integration is through a tool. All of them are through tools. So if you want all of these people working as a single unit, if you want that oneness of feeling of oneness, right, what you need to do is you need a person who can bridge the skill set, okay, and practices through implementation of DevOps tools, or what is nothing but automation tools. So I need a person who can understand these two things and help me implement these automation tools. So that is why for a DevOps engineer, right, most of the times people don't hire internally. They want someone who is already have existing skills. So they will hire at least a person to lead it, and existing team members will be converted. But to actually lead a DevOps team, people always hire from external company only. Means they would like to know already a person is working, so that that lead will have enough knowledge, he will transition. Okay. Clear? That's what DevOps is. DevOps is not simply called development plus operations. It is not all the two circles drawing. That's not all DevOps is. This is what DevOps mean. Okay? Clear, everyone?
Yes.
So we all know what is Agile, and Agile is not something new to the market. It is there from 2005. Okay, and yes, not many what you call SDLC have come. So if you go and find around, right, your development teams are still following Agile practices only in today's market. Yes, there is something like safe Agile. Yes, couple of variations of Agile came. People wanted to tweak here and there. So you have safe Agile, but ultimately they're all Agile only. So agile methodology is something today every enterprise is using, and 80% of the companies have transitioned to this newer methodology. Okay, and why am I coming here? Because I told you it is something you should know, and I would like you to go and check or update yourself on what is agile. Okay, but in a high level, agile is also an SDLC, which has multiple stages like requirement gathering, design, development, testing, and release. So these are five phases you'll have. But there is a major difference between agile and waterfall, which is a agile is a iterative process. Okay, where the whole cycle will be done multiple times. In waterfall, right, that all stages will be done only one time. But in agile, right, it is an iterative process. Means the requirements change during the build, during your development time. Okay, and you also change the logic, everything. So multiple times we change the code and we test it and we go through it. That is why in agile you have sprints, right? Sprint one, sprint two, sprint three. Those are all multiple short iterations you'll have, and it's an incremental process. Okay, so that's a major difference into your agile and waterfall. Okay, so again, though agile is better than waterfall, agile also has a lot of problems in it. One of the biggest problem is, see, when you talk about agile or any SDLC, right, it means that everyone should be involved. But what are the two teams who will be involved, guys, in agile? In an agile meeting, who joins an agile meeting or any SDLC meeting, anything? Who join normally? Who do you think? You can expect there's no wrong in it. Who can join? Who will
Uh,
join?
Developers, testers.
Okay. Any other answer?
Product product owners and product managers.
Yeah, product owner. Yeah, means again product manager. Both are same. Yeah, product owners will join. Yes, yes. Product owner will join because he'll give the requirement, right? Client side will be their product owner. Our side he'll not be there. The client side, the product owner will be there, which is nothing but client. He'll join because he'll only give requirement what is what. Because he'll tell in plain English that okay, add me one button or like that. He doesn't know what is coding. He'll tell I want this color. So he's the person who give requirements. And developer will be there because he's the person who's going to take the requirements. Beyond developer and product owner, no one will join SDLC. Yes, testing team will join occasionally only when testing situation comes in. But in reality, when you talk about SDLC, it means that everyone should be involved. Operations team should be involved because you are deploying the code, right? Why are you not involving him? Because that is how the SDLC has come. SDLC has not given enough importance to testing team and operations team, right? Because in SDLC, right, you have one complete stage for testing, one complete stage for deploying. Without doing that in multiple environments, everything you can't do. But people don't care about them, or they have not given enough importance. That's where the DevOps fixes in. Okay, so how DevOps is related to Agile is the DevOps is built on the concepts of Agile. So DevOps is just extending the Agile so that Agile is fulfilled, or not just Agile, but all SDLC. But we only use one SDLC today. That is why DevOps will tell you it is extending the Agile methodology. So what does it do is it identifies the importance of extending Agile principles beyond development. The agile has a very good rules on how a developer can write more effective code when compared to waterfall, but the agile methodology clearly lacks instructions on how can test be optimized, how can test be emphasized, or how can operations team better deploy when compared to waterfall. There is not even a single line defined by the people who wrote the rules of agile that okay, how can we optimize a operations team. That is why in 2017 2018 also still lot of people do manually everything because agile did not tell anything to do, or testing teams who are not doing automation testing because The Agile did not have any rules. That is the problem. Okay. Why? Because it's not that testing team doesn't do. No one told testing team that this is not optimized way, there is a better optimized way. It was everything their choice. So that's where the DevOps came in. DevOps gave importance to every section of your release and told this is how testing should be done, this is how deployment should be done, this is how installation should be done. So yes, the Agile gave proper rules on how to write effective code. Beyond that, Agile is not good. So that's where the DevOps is going to come in, and it's going to extend the good rules of how development is done to the other things which are nothing but the operations and other functions which support application lifecycle. That's why it is not just development plus operations. What does it do is a DevOps is getting involved into the all phases of your software development, including your quality assurance, testing, security, release management, governance, all of them. Okay, that's what DevOps is. So DevOps will clearly tell you how this should be done. It will also tell you how to do monitoring also, how monitoring should be done also. It will be telling you. So we have clear set of rules what we need to follow to achieve the goals. DevOps is more clear than your Agile. Okay, but again, it is not an SDLC. It is just uh, finds better rules so that we achieve what we need to achieve through an SDLC. Okay, clear. So why we need DevOps? By now we know the single biggest reason why companies adopt DevOps is shorter development cycle. For example, you are taking 21 days or 25 days currently for each release. Okay, right from requirement gathering, coding, testing, deploying, all these things. DevOps will outright can save you 50% to 100% of the time. Means you can cut down that from 20 days to 15 days or even 10 days also. And over the period of time, you become so efficient. Same day also you can have production deployment. Means same day client will give you requirement. Same day you can also do the production deployment also. That is how the Facebook and Microsoft, Google will do. Both Facebook, Twitter, right? They will have multiple production deployments in a single day. Facebook will have anywhere from 20 to 50 deployments, production deployments. Google also will do at least 50 production deployments every day. I'm telling you only google.com, not mail, Google Maps, everything. I'm only telling google.com search. They change the algorithm every day 20 times minimum. Okay? Everything. Why? Because they have these proper implementation there. Okay? And everyone can go there, and which directly leads to fast innovation. Means you have a competitor who is releasing mobile application update every month, you're updating every week. Obviously the customers will see that okay, this guy is updating very often, he's having new features coming very soon. Obviously no one need to tell you, right? You by yourself will change it to the tab. No one need to come and advertise to you, right? So it means that it's a huge business advantage. You can do fast innovation. Ultimately your clients or your customers will be happy because there is a problem, you're fixing it as soon as possible, right? You're not taking a lot of time. That is why companies what. And not just that, by having more what you call standardized way, automated way, you increase efficiencies and reduce maintenance activity. Unnecessarily you don't do all of these debugging activities, you catch all the problems when they are in the development stage, so you have less bugs. And you increase efficiency. And again, unnecessarily I don't need to hire a lot of people. With a limited team I can have a higher efficiencies. Means I can slowly start removing people, and my maintenance activity will be drastically cut down, and which will also reduce my deployment failure because I'll automate my deployment now. And if at all anything happens also, I can do faster rollback because I have automated system in place. I don't need to take hours and hours to go back to previous working state. I'll quickly go. Scalable infrastructure, I can scale my infrastructure easily because again it's only automation. I don't need to, if I want to add 5 more Linux servers, I don't, it will not take me a lot of time because again I'll use my existing automation to add new servers and perform automation on them also. Means you will have a scalable infrastructure because everything is automated. It doesn't matter to install Java on 10 servers or 100 servers, it will take same time. You install and you write Ansible code to install Java on 100 or 1000, it will take the same time. So there's no difference. So it is automatically scalable and it will be resilient. You eliminate downtime. Yes, we are eliminating a lot of downtime through automation. We reduce cost, being it is highly cost efficient. A lot of people are very happy with that. See, removing a person in India is not a great thing, guys. Okay, because for example, someone is getting 5 lakhs package or 7 lakhs package. If I remove him, the client will not get any benefit. But if the client has a chance to remove at least 2 people onshore, he will save 200K, which is a substantial amount of money. And if I remove at least 10 people, I will save $1 million. What is $1 million in Indian terms? It is 7 crores. Okay, so think about that. I know that what happens if one person is removed, but it's not that, because he's not paying you that much, right? The client pays in hours, which is lot more. So that's why client thinks, okay, even one person is, you'll think, okay, why that person is doing? Because ultimately for him, the billing is lot more than what we are getting paid. So that's why. So even though he really removes, at least he downsizes the team by 3, 4 people also, he's going to save 500K, which is a lot of money. Okay. So stable operating system, yes. Every time my operating system will be stable. Not my operating system, but I'm telling you the whole environment means my web servers, my app servers, my database servers, right? The connectivity, all of them will be always stable. I can rely on my servers. Everyone wants this, right? No one wants to lose all these features. That's why everyone has DevOps today. So what are those practices we need to know to have a successful DevOps implementation? Is it is categorized into 5 different practices, okay? And these 5 different practices cover every component, not just only our what you call operations team components, but the testing, everything. So there are 5 practices you need to properly implement if you really want to declare yourself that, okay, our project is completely on DevOps. Continuous development, continuous testing, continuous integration, continuous delivery, continuous monitoring. So these are the 5 different phases you always see across anywhere you go to internet. This is what you see. These 5 practices need to be properly implemented. If you implement them, then you are actually on a DevOps based implementation. So if you see here, development, testing, monitoring, right? So yes, development will be done by your developers. Testing will be done by your testing team. But these three are something which we completely own. As a DevOps engineer, you are 100% responsible to implement these 3 phases. Okay, but here also we are going to assist this development team and operation teams. Okay, if they need any automation, anything, we'll assist them. But these three completely our ownership: installing the tool, configuration, setup, maintenance, everything. Okay, so that is why in a high level, right, DevOps people will tell it is CI/CD. This is CI, this is CD. But ultimately it has 5. But these two are only the heart of DevOps. Okay, most of the tools we are going to learn, like what are the tools like Docker, Ansible, Jenkins, Kubernetes, all of them, right, will be categorized into these 2 tools only. Okay. Yes, your Git comes here and your Maven comes here. Clear? So let's go in a high level. What are all these 5 so that you'll understand really what does a DevOps engineer role mean. And I'll also tell you a sample workflow so that you'll exactly know what you will do as a DevOps engineer. Okay. So let us go through all. I'll not just tell CI/CD. We'll go through all the 5. Okay. So that you'll know what happens here. The first thing is continuous development. Okay, so this continuous development, right, this phase involves planning and coding. Planning means, we have project management software, right, like Jira is a project management tool, and we are not concerned about it. How do they design everything? That is not our concern at all. Okay, so that is for planning. And coding, we know the developers do the actual coding either through any IDE like Eclipse or Visual Studio, all these things. Okay, so, and remember again, we are not removing agile. The development is achieved through agile methodology only. I told you we are not downsizing or downplaying or SDLC. So people still use agile only. Okay, and DevOps will not force you to write Python only or Java only. What are the programming language you want to choose? It is up to you. But what is important from the DevOps perspective in continuous development is we need to use this modern version control system tools and modern build tools. Okay. So a modern version control tool is any tool which is Git based tool. Anything which is Git based is a modern version control system tool which highly increases the collaborative effort between the developers. So the developers can better collaborate when compared to using something like SVN. Okay. So as a DevOps engineer, you should propose or bring in that implementation. You should tell that, okay, see, this is not the tool we should use. We should transition to here. We should use this tool. Okay. That's one thing. And Maven, there is a better build tools. Like if you're using Ant or some other old tool, or if you're using some scripts, you need to transition to Maven, which is a modern build tool. Okay, those are the things you are concerned from our side. Okay, that's continuous development. I told you, not much needed. And if you see, continuous development does not even need much changes because people are already using Agile from long time. I told you so. From the developer side, right, there won't be much changes. What you should keep in mind, one thing is, okay, when a DevOps is introduced to a project, right, the developers are the least to be changed, because the developers doesn't need to change anything, because developers are still going to write in code, the same code, they'll follow the same agile practices. Who is going to be drastically affected means whose day-to-day what you call operations will be completely changed, means day-to-day functioning will change is for the testing team and operations team, right? Operations team, earlier they were not using all of these tools, suddenly they should use a lot of tools. Testing team, earlier they did not use any of the automation testing tools, now they should use a lot of automation testing tools. So the workflow of a developer is not disrupted through DevOps. He has the same workflow. Okay, but the testing team and the operations team are the highly affected teams. Affected means they need to start following a lot of new things. Okay, so the continuous testing is a phase which involves testing and verification of the application functionality. Okay, so here we know that what does testing mean, but we know what is testing. We need to properly test the application. Continuous testing means it is a process of executing automated tests, part of the software delivery pipeline. I don't want any manual testing to be happening. I want every testing to be automated, and not just automated. I don't even want a person to go and click on the run button. I am automatically going to invoke that. Okay, I want you to do functional testing, means the developer has done some changes to the code. Now I want to go and check whether that is functioning or not. I don't want you to do manual. I want you to write a Selenium test case, which is Selenium is for functional testing. Okay, someone has done some confidence changes for performance. I don't want you to do performance changing. I want you to go and execute load runner testing. So for all of this performance testing, functional testing, unit testing, I want tools to be done. Okay, and that's what it means. And remember that DevOps cannot be realized without continuous testing with zero human intervention. Okay, so in all of the testing, I want zero human intervention. I don't want any person in testing to be executing the test cases. Does it mean I'm going to completely fire my testing team? No. I need my testing team. I need them to write a lot of automation test cases, but I don't want them to be involved in executing them. I will execute myself in an automated way. Okay. That is what continuous testing, and it is very vital for your successful implementation. Okay. I'll tell you why later. Again, here, not our concern. What are the testing tools they'll implement? It is up to their team. Okay. Continuous integration. This is where we are going to be involved. This is our ownership. So continuous integration means the moment developer writes code and testing team will have a test case, we need to get the code, compile, build, deploy, test. All of this thing comes in, right? So here, this phase involves integration of the application function. Integration means in your company, right, you don't have single application. There will be a lot of small applications which are all talking to each other, right? So if the developer is changing on one component, we also need to ensure that this new application is not fighting with the existing applications, or if it is not having any kind of issues with the existing applications. So all of this involves in the integration of the new code to our existing applications. So here the CI means we are going to integrate the code and test, verify whether it is all working fine or not, and all the functionality is working fine or not. So, but let us talk about what is integration, existing integration, and what does continuous integration mean. Okay, because we are not just integrating the code here, we are continuously integrating the code. There's a huge difference. Okay, so let's see this complete life cycle which I told you, right? So that you'll understand what actually happens in an enterprise. So let's go through this, which is the build and deploy life cycle. Okay, so let's take a scenario here. The developers are supposed to write code, so they wrote the code. So developers have completely written the code for the release. Means what are the amount of code which are supposed to be written for the release? They have written it, and after the coding, what they do, they store the code in GitHub. Okay, so GitHub is a tool to store source code. So it's a simple tool. So here, so now the life of a DevOps unit starts the moment the developer is going to store the code in the GitHub. So let's take a Java example, which is the most dominantly used programming language. You go anywhere, people still use Java. So Java is not used in itself. You go to Salesforce, it is Java. You go to Sibyl. So Java is like very dominant. Okay. So here the developer has written Java code. He has stored the code in the GitHub. Now the first thing which happens is the build activity. The build activity means people are going to use a tool called Maven to do two things: compile the code and package the code. Why? Because we know that if you write a Java program, you need to first compile and execute, right? So the developers write a lot of Java code. I need to first perform the compiling the code and then packaging the code. Why need to package? Because when developers write hundreds of independent Java files, right, we can combine them into create a single file. That file will be easy for us to deploy the code. So typically this is run by build and release engineer today, but once DevOps engineer comes, we don't need that guy. Then once the code is ready, we have now ops team, operations team. When you go to operations team, there are at the minimum we need to interact with three teams. I have a web admin team who deploys the front end part of the code, who maintain web servers. Then I have a application server team where I am going to involve with the middleware person like WebLogic, WebSphere, or Tomcat person. Then the database team, because I need to do some changes on the database end. And it is every release will have database change, guys. Okay, don't expect database changes won't be there. Every release there will be DB changes, schema refresh, data refresh, adding tables, all of this. Okay. So today, right, there are this kind of unnecessary process issues like, okay, I need to open a change ticket for each and every team. Whom do you think will open? Who should open this? Who will open this ticket? Who should open, or whom do you think who will open this ticket to them to get the work done?
It's like who actually be
Here.
the person who wanted it to open it,
Yes,
and
that is why.
it needs
Who
to
is
be
this in this
approved.
scenario? Who is that person? In this scenario, who is that person? In this scenario, whom do you think who will open the ticket? Developer, right? Why?
Yes.
Only developer knows where changes should be done. Okay. Even though you're a DB administrator, the developer will know more about the database. You're only installing it, but he exactly knows what tables are there, what is the relationship between one table to other table. Okay. So even though you are a very big Linux administrator, developer will know more than you because he knows what Java code is sitting there, right? So developer should exactly tell where what changes to be done, right? Otherwise, we don't know anything because ultimately developer will do everything, right? He'll only write front end code, he'll only write back end code, he'll only write SQL statements. So developer will exactly know where the changes should be done, which file should be replaced, which file should be updated, which file should be deleted. So the instructions will be given by the developer, okay, to these teams. And I told you we can't freely give them. We need to create a ticket. And once these three teams have properly done everything as they expected to be done by the instructions from developer, then the developer will validate it. He will validate whether all the changes by the teams are properly done or not. Means he will go and check new functionalities reflecting or not. Then the testing team will be involved. And there are multiple phases of testing. We do integration testing, system testing, user acceptance, and then we get the results. So here we see there are a lot of roadblocks, there are a lot of teams involved, there are multiple teams, and you know that some teams may be in India, some teams may be in US, or some team may be in some other location. There may be some weekend. Today it may be Ramzan. To US it was yesterday Memorial Day. So there may be Indian festival, US festival. So what happens is ultimately there will be a lot of these process issues and communication issues and this kind of what you call something unavoidable things like holidays, everything, right, which delay the release. And do you know the time taken for this to complete? It is at least going to take 1 to 2 days, right? I'm not telling for writing code, yes, developers will take 6 7 days, but after that, right, if you want this complete cycle to be done, it at least takes 1 to 2 days. And once the results are there, it will be given to the developers. Again, developers will do fix the defects, which will not take much time. Again, this cycle happens. So today this cycle only happens at the end of the development or coding. Why? Because we can't do this during the development activity. Today, even though you are in agile or waterfall, what people do is they give the developers like 7 days, 8 days, 10 days to write. After that, this cycle will be done 2 to 3 times, and by the 2 or 3 cycles the code will become the most of the defects will be fixed, and we go to production. But this is integrating your code to your environment and validating it. But when I talk about continuous integration, right, what does the difference of continuous integration is? The difference in the continuous integration is it is a practice of frequently integrating the code of each developer into project branch, create a build, deploy, and run end-to-end tests on it. So instead of doing at the end of the development, I am interested in doing this integration very, very frequently, at least once in a day, or even better, each time a developer is changing code, I want this to be done. But if you follow this manual process or semi manual process, right, your release of 20 days will take 50 days now, because each time developer is changing code, I want everything result to be coming, right, and the developer should wait 2 days of time, right, again to get the results, which is not feasible for us in the first place. That is why we don't do this. But what if I tell you that, okay, all of this can be completed within 15 minutes of time, then yes, you'll be interested. Yes, it looks good. 15 minutes means very less time. We can do that. That is why this is called continuous integration and continuous delivery, where this is mostly continuous integration. So what happens is we are going to have an automated system in place to constantly get the new code from the developer and integrate that and get the results. That is where your Jenkins will come in. A Jenkins tool can perform all of these operations within 15 minutes of time. So by the time once the developer writes the code and he'll have tea and come back, means he can go for a break and come back, he will have the results in his mailbox waiting for him. So what is the advantage of doing this testing multiple times instead of one time is, let me tell you. So for example, part of the release, right, your developer should write, for example, 500 lines of code, okay, and there are two developers, because always, right, application code will be written at least by two developers. So there are two developers, each one is given to write 500 lines of code, and they are given 5 days, so they'll write 100 lines of code every day. So today they wrote 100 lines of code, tomorrow they write 100 more, 100 more, and ultimately they'll complete their 500 lines of code, okay, this is fine. Now the problem is when they write this first 100 lines of code, right, and they don't test it. So the problem is, so if there is a issue in first 100 lines and he will write new code which is dependent on uh, existing 100, because the code always will be like a relation, right, all the Java code will not be unrelated, right, everything will be related. So all the Java code he writes will be related, so which is dependent on existing 100 lines. So what happens is when he goes for testing, right, he will realize that on day one itself he wrote some bad code, and there is a lot of code now related to that bad code. What happens now? The time for fixing the code will be a lot. Why? Because if he had known on day one, he would have fixed this and written the additional code. So the time to fix the code will be a lot, or the rework will be a lot of time. So this is where high chances of our release is going to fail. So developer thought, okay, everything is good, and he did not do now. So to like within 2 or 3 days, the delivery is there, and this guy is still having a lot of fixes, the bugs or fixes to do. But instead, what we have done is, if would have tested that 100 lines of code, right, then, and that too within 15 minutes of the time he wrote the code, he will right away know what is the problem and he'll fix it. And also we can find the problems better when we are testing individually, right? So that is why it is highly efficient for us to integrate the code constantly instead of doing it at one time at the end of the release. So it means that developers will be highly productive, developers will fix the problems when they are easiest to fix. Okay, that is the biggest advantage. You fix the problem when it is in the starting stage, not when it has become very complicated problem, which is again going to take a lot of time to rework. Okay, so you detect the problems early, you fix them when they are easiest to fix. Okay, so and you get shiny new features to your users as early as possible. So that is the main agenda, and you as a DevOps engineer is responsible to create this CI pipeline. Okay, and this is how it looks like. A developer will be there. He will check in the code to the source repository, and the CA server, which is nothing but a continuous integration server. Here example is Jenkins, will build, test, and send the results to developer. And the developer doesn't need to open a ticket. He doesn't need to send an email. He doesn't need to do anything. He doesn't need to interact with anyone. He doesn't need to wait for anything. That is where the productivity of developers will be highly increased. Your developer will be highly productive. So the moment he writes the code, he will get to know that whether the code is good or not, or he can continue with a new code, or he should fix the existing code. He will know it. Okay. And these are all the popular tools, CI tools we have in the market, like Jenkins, Bamboo, Travis CI, Circle CI. Okay. And we'll be learning Jenkins part of it, because Jenkins is the most used CI tool everywhere. Netflix uses it, every company uses it. Very large company, very small company will use it. Your Yahoo will use, Twitter will use, a lot of people will use it. So no need to worry. Jenkins is a universal tool and it will be highly important tool part of your job. Then continuous delivery. So delivery means if you relate there, right? In the CA, right? Mostly I was talking about building and testing, right? Here delivery will be about part of you're delivering the code. Means once you have tested properly in the non-production, now I want to deliver it to my production, right? When you want to deliver to production, it will not have one or two servers like testing. There may be 20, 30 servers because when you're deploying your application live, right, we will deploy that into a lot of servers because we have a lot of customers. And when we have a lot of customers, we should have that application highly available. Means same Java code needs to be deployed in lot of servers so that the customers will not face any slow time. Because if you only have two, three servers, all the customers are connected to the two servers, right? The website will slow down. If it is highly parallel, the customer will connect to one of the server and he'll have an optimal performance. So how do we ensure that the code we are going to properly configure and deploy that? This is where the delivery part comes in. So delivery means series of practices designed to ensure the code can be rapidly and safely deployed to production. So the most important location where the code will reside is production. You do mistake in test environment, nothing will happen. Only testing team will get affected. If you do a deployment mistake in test environment, if you do deployment mistake in production, the whole company will get affected. So you should be far more cautious when you do anything. So that is why, so if I want to do it properly, I don't want human doing it. So what I need an automated system in place. And that automated system should do very, very fast. But doing it fastly should also not affect the quality of it. Means I should do it as safe as possible, also as soon as possible. That is where these continuous delivery tools come in. So to do this, what we do first is we first write an automation to and apply it to a production like environment, something like non-production or a QA environment. So first we will write automation and we will test that automation against non-production server and we will deploy and we will test that functionality. If everything is done once, then we have a confidence that application can be deployed to production with a push of a button when the business is ready, right? Today, right, for a deployment, it's a huge drama. When you go to production deployment, right, a lot of people will be called into office, then everyone will join a bridge call or a conference call, and everyone will be very tense because it's an important thing. So we don't need all that, and also we need all the people to be in the office. Means at least from every team, two people. But if you have continuous delivery, you can deliver whenever you want. Midnight, 2 o'clock, you want to deliver, you can deliver when no one is in the office because you already have everything in place. You just need to click a button. It will go and deploy into the production. It will go live. So that's a huge advantage. And again, I told you there are no chances of going it bad. So this is how it looks like. Once it is there, I automatically deploy to test environment, then send the results to developers, then go to higher test staging environment, then I go to production finally. That is what continuous delivery is. We constantly deliver the application. Instead of only deploying once, we constantly deploy the new changes to the environments. And these are the tools which help you do that. The Ansible, Chef, and Puppet. And Ansible is the most popular tool of all, and we will use Ansible. Okay. Every company now is using Ansible. So Ansible is again an important tool, part of your interview or your day-to-day job. You need to use a lot of Ansible. Okay. So through Ansible, I will automate a lot of activities: installing, configuring, deploying, patching, restarting, rebooting, whatever admin activities you do, we can automate them through Ansible so that people don't need to come on weekends, night shift, all we can be eliminating. Okay. Container tools, which is very, very important again. And the container tools also is part of your continuous delivery only. Okay, they are not separate category. The container tools, both Docker and Kubernetes, are also part of your continuous delivery tools only. Okay, so these tools are completely a new way of running your IT systems or your application. See, your developer wrote a Java application. What we take it, we take that Java application, take it and place it on a Linux server or Windows server, and we execute the Java program. That is how everyone is running. But once Docker comes in, what we do is first we take this Java code and put inside a container, and then we take that container and place it on a server. So it is little different the way we run. Okay, so the way we run or execute our Java application is completely different when you come to container execution. But do you need to do any change to Java code? Not needed. Your code doesn't need to change, but the way it is executed will be changed, which is through containerization. Okay, so remember that every company is right now going through a major transition, which is their architectural change. They are going to a microservices architecture, which is container based. So this is a term you will hear a lot going from 2020 21. Okay, every company's goal is this, and when they are hiring you, they also look for this. They would want the person who are hiring not only to have the traditional DevOps knowledge, but also the container knowledge, the Docker and Kubernetes, and we'll extensively cover here. Okay, you don't need to worry. Understand that they are not automation tools; they are runtime tools. Okay, Docker is not going to automate anything. Docker is going to change the way you run the application. Okay, so these are runtime applications. Okay, so continuous monitoring, yes, the continuous monitoring is also vital for us because we want to know whether there is a high CPU or a low RAM or low storage, or if the Java application went down, or if Node.js went down. I need to know right then and there. So the monitoring tools are going to help us continuously monitor my application. Okay, and here we are going to use modern open source tools. We are not going to pay a lot of money for these monitoring tools. We go and use existing monitoring tools. Okay, and Nagios is something we'll cover here, which is a completely open source tool. Okay, it is a way for us to chance for us to detect the problems early so that it doesn't escape to the market. Okay, that is your continuous monitoring. Continuous monitoring is not a huge emphasis. It's a very simple topic. Okay, don't worry about it. So if you want to summarize the whole session, right, this is what it is. In the old way, there were multiple people, like what you call there were multiple teams involved, and everywhere there was handoff. Why handoff? Because testing team had separate manager, release team had a separate manager, operation team had a separate manager, coding team is development team had separate manager. So all of these people were different teams, sometimes different companies. So there were a lot of differences, there were a lot of roadblocks. People used to tell no, this is not happening. So here, right, the code used to go through multiple handoff, and these handoffs were most of the time like physical, and they used a process. Now you need to break this chain and ensure that there's a continuous activity happening. People constantly code, build, test, release, and operate, and everyone should look like single team. They all should not look like from different companies or different organizations. Okay, so we break this and we bring in this continuous scenario. Okay, that is what you are supposed to do, and you are supposed to do all of that through automation tools only. You are not going to be any process engineer or process manager. You are going to be a pure engineer who is going to write a lot of tools. Clear? That's what it is. And so we are going to use AWS to practice. Okay, so the AWS is only for our practice ground. We are going to leverage AWS for our virtual machine creation. So I would want everyone to go here and sign up here. Okay, so go to this website and create a free account. If you already have it, it is well and good, but if you don't have it, go and create it. Okay, so you don't need any technical knowledge here. This is like signing up to your what do you call, any website. We will be using AWS as a platform to practice all the DevOps tools. We are just leveraging the AWS for our practice. So when you want to log into AWS, you use aws.amazon.com. This is where you can log in, or you come to the AWS cloud services, and in this website you have something called my account. Here you have AWS management console. So AWS management console will take you to the login page, and with whichever username or email password you're going to sign up, you need to use the same thing here to log in. So let it be root itself. Okay, it's already pre-selected, no need to change anything. So it's root user. Choose your email. This is something I've used. I have stored the password, so it is simple. So it is AWS Management Console. So the first thing to remember, this is the home page. So the moment you log into AWS Console, you are going to land on this page. Not just you, version, or this is a free version. It doesn't matter. You're always going to land on this page. So this is the Management Console. Now, what we are concerned on AWS is how can we create a virtual machine and then install the tools which we want to practice here. So for that, right, you click on services. Here we have something called EC2. Okay, so click on EC2. Okay, now you see something in here in the page, launch instance. Okay, so let's go ahead and launch an instance. Okay, so you need to know how to launch instance, which is very vital for you to go and practice once we start with all the tools. So click on launch instance and it will give you launch instance here. Again, click it. It will give you a small pop-up. So launch instance. So launch instance is going to be a total of 7 steps, and it's not going to be taking much time, or it will not be much effort. So here we are going to have a lot of operating system of choices. The first one is choosing an Amazon machine image. It is nothing but choosing the ISO image, which is going to be your operating system. This is a step one. In the step one, we need to choose an AMI. So what operating system does enterprises use? Enterprises use Linux operating system, and that too specifically the Red Hat Enterprise Linux. Remember that most of the companies, 90% of the companies always use Red Hat Enterprise Linux as their operating system of choice. Okay. Yes, there are multiple Linux operating systems in the market, but the Red Hat is the most used one. Why? Because he gives you a very good support for 10 years. So today you buy a Linux operating system, for the next 10 years, he gives you an assurance that, okay, no matter what happens day and night, I am going to provide you support. So that's why that stellar support, security updates, patch updates, stability issues, all those things are very, very good with Red Hat. So that's why it is used. But Red Hat 8 has recently released, not many are using it. So we will go and search for Red Hat 7.6, okay, which is right now the latest one. 8, it will take some time for people to adopt it, okay. But 7.6 is the latest one. So let me search here. I got 5 results. So click on AWS Marketplace here later and choose this Red Hat Enterprise Linux 7.6. Okay, so continue. The step two, we need to ensure that we choose this T2.micro, which is a free tier eligible. So there's a small banner here, the banner telling you free tier eligible. So it's already pre-selected for you. It means that selecting this server will cost us $0 or 0 penny. So that's why it is already pre-selected for us. So nothing to do on step two. So step two, whatever we need, it's already pre-selected. So click on here. Don't click on review and launch. Click on next, config instance details. Next, step three, config instance details. So here again, nothing to do. All the important options have been already pre-selected for us. So step three also we can click on directly. Click next. So here storage, we are going to have 10 GB of storage for this server. Yes, it looks less, but for our practice, we will never run out of space. So this 10 GB of a disk will be added to the Linux server, and it will be more than enough. So no need to make any changes here. We'll use just 10. Then tagging. Okay, tagging is nothing but giving an what you call a simple name to the server so that you can easily identify them. So at the center of this page, right, you have this choose the add tag button. So click here. Okay, so click on this, click to add a name tag and give us a name. For example, I can tell sample server, or you can tell anything, Docker server, Kubernetes, Jenkins, something. But here we are just creating a sample server, just giving this. Remember that this is not your host name. Okay, it is just a reference name. Now click next, configure security group. So here configure security group, right? This is something you should know. So AWS is a cloud, right? He should secure his customer service. So how do we secure is one of the ways Amazon keeps your server secure is through security group. There are other ways also. This is one of the most primary way. Security group is a firewall rules. A firewall is nothing but a set of rules which are going to allow you to access only certain ports, right? When we join companies, right, they'll block Facebook because they wrote a firewall rule to block the Facebook website. So like that. So here also there are some firewall rules. This firewall rule is going to block some ports, but for our practice, we don't want any firewall blocking anything. So that's why what we'll do, we will open every port to the outside world. Okay, so that while you're practicing, we are not going to get any kind of network or port issues. For that, what you need to do is we already have this selected, create a new security group, let it be there, but we will change the security group name to something meaningful. Here it is something random. So let me remove this. Let me clear this message. Let us give something like a all all firewall rules disabled or anything. You can write anything you want or all ports open, something like that. Okay. There is nothing standard. This is plain English. Okay. Then the most important thing is in the type. You need to choose all traffic. Means everything can come and go. All traffic. The port is 0 to 65,535. Remember that, guys. Whether it is a Windows operating system or a Linux operating system, on every operating system there will be a total of 65,535 ports. Okay, on over which an application can run. So here we are having all of this will be open, and every type of protocol, whether it's a TCP protocol, UDP protocol, HTTP protocol, SMTP, all of them also will be open. Types of protocols and port, everything is open. It means that there is no blocking. Now click on review and launch, and you can review what you have done here. What are the steps we have chosen? But the only thing to review here is whether you have choose t2.micro or not. Every other thing is fine. Okay, so t2.micro or not, yes. Then click launch. So you'll see this thing. Okay, select an existing key pair or create a new pair. Okay, so here what is this key pair? Why do I need key pair? What is this certificate? The AWS authenticates to the server using password instead of password a key file. So when you log into a Linux server, right, what you do, you open putty, you put that server name, then you hit enter, it will ask username and password, right? That is how we log into Linux server. But AWS thinks that username password is not secure enough, so they came up with a solution of a username and certificate. So your certificate will be your password instead of a simple password message. So we need to create that certificate here, and we need to download it, and we should have that in our laptop. So when you are logging to AWS server, Linux server or Windows server, we need that key file. Okay, so that is one way of a security. Apart from username password, this is username and key file. So give any name, any basic name. For example, sample or my AWS, anything. Don't give spaces, don't give special symbols, don't make it complicated. It should be a single word. Okay, not even two words like this. It should be a single word. Okay, without any spaces, without any numbers, special symbols. A simple message, my AWS, or something like that. Okay, something like Shankar or anything, any name, anything. Okay, then click download keeper, and it will download this, and it's only one time. You can't re-download it. So that's why when you download, have it, keep it safe. Then click on launch instances, and you need to scroll below here. You'll see view instances button. Click on this button, and it will take you to the page where we have this server provisioning now. So it is in pending state because it is being provisioned. Within next 10-20 seconds, the server will be up and running. You don't need to wait a lot of time. You see, it is up and running. So it was this simple. Okay, creating a server in Linux AWS is very, very simple. Okay, it's completely UI, it's easy options. Okay, so now we have the server created. Now I want to know, how can I log into this? There are multiple ways. Okay, but the simplest way is I would like you to go ahead and install this tool. Okay, so everyone, right, just right away take this. You will see a download for Windows. Okay, so click on this button. It will start downloading a small 40 MB software. You install it. Okay, while installation it will ask you a lot of options, but choose the next and complete it. Means you don't need to change options. Blindly click next and complete the installation. Okay, understood, guys? It's a very small software. Okay, it is something you can think like a putty. Okay, clear with that message, guys? Any doubts here? Why do we need the tool? This is a tool like putty. That's a simple answer. Why should I install this tool? Because I need to access a Linux machine from my Windows. What you call application installed with the name git bash. Okay, and the logo will be like this. So there will be a small software installed on your operating system with this logo. Okay, you should see this logo. Why am I showing you? Because post the session, right, you can validate. Okay, so once you install that small software, you can go to Windows start menu and search for Git Bash. Okay, only Git Bash you search, you get this application and launch it. Okay, so that is what we did. The Git Bash. This is a Bash tool. Okay, so launch it and do whatever I'll do now. Okay. I was trying to change a different password. I should have changed for this. Okay, so it will work. Okay, the only thing is run this command once. Before anything, run this command for your PEM file. Whatever the name of your PEM file is, put .pem here. Okay, I did a confusion because I was using a different key file. Okay, so run this command once. Okay, whatever the name you gave .pem, and your command will successfully run. No need to worry. Okay. So once you run that command, you should be able to log into your AWS server. Okay. Now, how to confirm whether you have logged in means whether you have moved from your Windows laptop to Linux server. How to confirm is you see this EC2-user, okay, and you see the IP address. Okay, so this IP address can be exactly matched with the AWS. So you see this 3117.167. So let us open our console. You see here 3117.167. So it is exactly the same server. So it means that we are not no longer in local. We have a switch to AWS server. Okay. The only way to confirm is this IP address 3117.167. So that is the same exact IP address here. So it means that we are in the AWS server. And let me do a cat. Let me check the OS version. Okay. This is a command will give you the OS version, the only command. So Red Hat Enterprise Linux Server 7.6, right? This is not my local, and this command will not even work if you don't switch to AWS. Okay, so it means that we are exactly switched to my Red Hat Linux Enterprise 7.6 server, which I've just created a couple of minutes ago. Okay, clear everyone on this? Creating the server for the first time, right, there are some additional steps, but when you go ahead and create the server second time, it will be a lot more simpler and a lot more straightforward. So let me show you that, because you may confuse always. So let me launch an instance again here. Okay, or else let's go from the start. So go to your home page or the landing page the moment we log in, click services, then EC2, click on this EC2, then here below you have launch instance. Let me make this screen smaller. Launch instance, then launch an instance. So let me search for Red Hat 7.6. See, people will do ask you that, okay, do you have Linux knowledge? Do you have experience in which Linux operating system version? Are you familiar with that? So these are questions which will be very common, guys. Okay, so you should be confident that you should tell that, okay, yes, I have experience with Red Hat Linux operating system and I'm good with that. Okay, people will not expect you to install Red Hat. Okay, because that is not our use case still. But you should know how to use it. So Red Hat Linux 7.6, choose this Bionic one. Okay. So here again, step one, we have choose RHL 7.6. Step two, T2.micro, which is important. Then step three, I told you, not much changes. Step four also, not many changes because we take the default storage. Adding tags, yes, you can give any tag, server-2 or anything. Then next, configure security group. So security group need not to be created each time. So what you can do is you can click on select an existing security group and select the security group we have already created earlier. So all firewall rules disabled, all traffic, all protocols, all ports. So this is the one we want. So we can ensure that, okay, I'm choosing this all firewall rules disabled. So we don't need to create again. And in the review and launch button, we can see whether it is T2.micro, and then now click on launch. Here we will already have a key pair which is something like Shankar. So select it. I acknowledge that I have access to it. Okay, because we are going to use the same key we can use the same key for hundreds of servers. You don't need to worry. There is no issue or there is no conflict. Okay, it's only password like that. You can keep same password for a lot of servers, right? This is also same thing. So click on launch instances. So it will right away launch. You see here, it is lot more simpler than the first time. First time it will ask you the security group and key creation. That is not even the case for subsequent times. Okay. So again, within couple of seconds, you'll have a new server up and running and log in the same way. Clear? So you see, it will not even take a minute of time to create a new server. Okay, it's that simple. So now let's go ahead and continue with some of the Linux commands. Okay, and as I told, Red Hat is something you must be concentrating. Don't worry or don't care about CentOS, Ubuntu. They are not enterprise operating systems, and you'll never see them using inside companies. Don't learn Ubuntu. That is waste. There, it is also Linux only. The commands will be same, but try to keep in mind that you know Red Hat and you're using Red Hat, so that tomorrow someone suddenly asks you, you can tell I know Red Hat. So we have seen a simple command for version. So what is the command to see the what do you call kernel version, guys? Can anyone tell me what is the command to see the kernel version? Any idea? Uname -r, which is my kernel version. Then what is this kernel? We just now saw the OS version, right? In Windows, we just have this, right? In Windows, we go to version, it will say like Windows 10 Home or Windows 7 or Windows XP, right? Then what is this kernel additionally? We just now saw complete OS version, right? So there is something you should understand in Linux, okay? In Windows also it is there, but we don't care about it. Windows also has a kernel, guys. Okay, without a kernel, there won't be any operating system. Remember, Windows also has a kernel, but that is completely what you call removed from our picture. Microsoft does not want you to concentrate on kernel; they only want you to concentrate on OS. So here also same thing. So kernel is something you don't interact with very much, but the kernel is always the heart of your operating system. Okay, so for the Linux kernel is the heart of your Linux operating system, and the OS is an additional what you call area which is built on top of the kernel. So that is why a Linux operating system has two parts: the kernel and the OS. Okay, so OS is a layer where all the user programs will be installed and configured, but the kernel has all the system programs. Like, see, when you install OS, right, you want your OS to automatically detect your audio and your keyboard, your headphones, everything, right? Those are all like a kernel modules which has built-in knowledge. Those are all drivers, everything. So all of these things will be in the kernel module, okay? Which will directly interact with the hardware, right? You expect your OS to send the instruction to your CPU and RAM and motherboard, right? So that logic or everything will be in the kernel, which is a core logic of your OS, okay? And the core logic of OS will be in the kernel, and the user programs, user instructions, your shell, the bash, everything will be on the OS, okay? So that is why one thing you should remember is there are a couple of things you should understand. So let me give you a basic introduction of Linux and we'll jump to the commands. I expect you to know it. So, the first thing to keep in mind is your Linux is not same as a Unix. Okay. What are some examples of Unix operating system? Can someone give me an example of a Unix operating system, not a Linux? Red Hat is a Linux operating system. Ubuntu is a Linux. Can you tell me like that Unix? Any OSs you know which are
Sol-
based on Unix variant?
Solaris,
Yeah, Solaris. Anything more?
AIX,
Yes. And
and
one more popular.
HPU.
HPUX. Okay. So these are Unix, very, very old. Okay. The Unix was created in 1965. Okay. So this guy is very old guy. Okay. But it is reliable, it is secure. And remember that Unix is not open source. That's a huge important thing you should understand. All of these are from three great companies. Solaris is from Oracle, AX is from IBM, HP is from HP. Okay. So these are completely paid operating systems. He'll not give you freely, and they're very, very costly. Okay. So that is why there was one student in Finland, you know, right, from the place where Nokia came, Nokia company. That guy was a student. He was trying to learn Unix, but they asked him $4,000. $4,000 for OS copy. He thought that is my university fees. I can't give you $4,000 for buying Unix. So this guy sat down and wrote a OS which looks like Unix. He did not even copy one single line. Why did he not copy? Because all of that source code was completely hidden from inside the companies. So he did not know, first of all, in the first picture, he don't know how it ran, but he wrote a code which looks like and runs like Linux. Okay. So runs like Linux. That is why the Linux came. The Linux from day one was open source. Okay. The world's first open source software is Linux. So this guy, a student, wrote Linux, wrote an operating system. He named it Linux and he made it free. And what he made free is the kernel. Okay, so this guy wrote the kernel of the OS, the kernel, which is the main hardware talking OS. Later, companies took this open source kernel and they added their own customizations, and companies started releasing the what? Releasing the OS. Okay, so that's why we have multiple variations, but ultimately Linux is the same. So it means that the Linux kernel will be the same, and we have a multiple variants. So let us talk about the couple of variants here. One is EL family. There are three main families. Family is nothing but group of people, right? Same thing here. Okay. So what comes under EL family? Red Hat Linux or Red Hat Enterprise Linux, you should call it. Never call Red Hat. You can call it RHEL. Okay. Red Hat Enterprise Linux. Then CentOS. Then Fedora. These three are part of the same group. Why? Because they are all created by Red Hat company. Okay. Then Debian is completely open source. You have Ubuntu and Debian here. Okay. Means these two are very closely related. In the SUSE, there is a Open SUSE and SUSE Enterprise. See, these are all everything same. They all have the same kernel, but there are some companies behind it where they try to show some difference between the other offering. That's all. But all the commands you run on one server or one operating system will exactly run on the other operating system. There won't be any syntax change, nothing to learn. So you don't need to worry. Okay. If you learn RHL, you will automatically would have learned all of these OSs because they all are from the kernel, so there won't be any command change. Only one or two commands will be changed. That is not the big deal, but underlying they all operate and behave the same way because they all have the same heart. Okay, so why we learn RHL? I told you because he gives you support. See, everyone is afraid of using open source software, right? It is not because it is going to be problem, but the problem is if when you are running a business, right, billions of dollars of revenue, if the server goes down, you can't tell your customer, okay, I'm using open source software, I am doing Google search for a solution. You can't tell like that. So that's why people want stability. So that's why they go to RHL. Okay, clear? So whenever you're downloading some software, also sometimes you'll see EL family. So don't confuse. EL family means it will be suitable for RHL. Sometimes you may see only Debian. Don't worry, download it. It will work for your Ubuntu. Okay. But some softwares or most of the softwares, Ubuntu version will not be working with RHL. Okay. Why? Because any software which is released for RHL will be .rpm at the ending. This guy will be .dpkg. Means extension. For Windows, we have .exe, right? So for Linux, right, also, see, Linux also has what you call installable software. So the EL family will all have .rpm. The Debian family will have dpkg. So by seeing the file only, you can understand this is for which OS, Linux OS type. Okay. So these kind of basic variants will be there. Other than that, it will be same. Okay. And the only one command I told you which is difference between these two is a installation command. You use yum install here. Here you use what command? Does anyone know it? How to install any software in Ubuntu? It is apt-get install. The only command which is different, every other command is same. Okay, clear? If someone will ask you what is the difference, please tell them these two differences. They'll right away stop the question. They'll understand that you know what you're speaking. Okay, and they'll go to next question. Okay, so let's go and see. some of the commands. And some of the basic commands I expect you guys to know is ls, okay, cd, mkdir, cp, mv, like cat, date, and rm command, very use it properly. Then what are the very basic commands? Can someone tell me? So basic like this, like
Nano VI.
VA is not basic. Hmm. Very
PWD.
basic. Yeah, PWD, very basic. To know the location, okay? Present working directory. Any basic commands still? What I'm missing here?
Gedit.
ls,
What is it?
Gedit, similar to VI editor.
Yeah, yeah. So I think we can write VA because it is a default editor. So I think we can name VA. VA will always be there. Anything is not there, but VA is there because VA is a default editor for all Linux OS. Any variant. Cat command, view command, grep command, right? Very common we use to
Grep,
search.
yeah, logs.
Okay. So these are all basic commands. I would like you to go and check it out. Okay. So these are so basic. I know that it is not something wrong for me to expect these commands from you. So go ahead and please practice this. Okay. Okay. I don't think practice is also not needed there. Most of the commands are something, if you're in IT industry by mistake also you'll know them. Okay. Until you're coming from some other industry. Okay, so what we'll learn is some important commands you need to know as a DevOps engineer. Okay, it's already standard tools, but these are something I use day to day, so I'll teach you. Okay, the first thing is when you log into a Linux server, what is the logic behind it is something we should know. Okay, so here what is the username I logged in? EC2 user. Okay, but typically, right, when you join a company, people will give you an ID. Okay, so most of the time it will be something called as a LDAP ID. Okay, so when you join any company, right, at the minimum, right, when you and every company has 1,000 servers at the minimum, guys. Okay, 1,800 is minimum. Don't expect less than that because there are a lot of applications. Every application will have testing server, then production server. So we have multiple servers for the same application. So with this all combinations, everything, right? The server count will easily reach 1,000. So, and you don't need to log into all the 1,000 because based on your domain, you may only need to log into subset of it. For example, you're not Oracle DBA. So people will not give access to the Oracle database service because you're not DBA admin. For example, you're not this, what you call a data scientist. So data science servers will not get. So don't expect to get access to every server. You'll only get access to servers which you are responsible. Like if there are some servers on Docker, some servers on Jenkins, some servers on Ansible. So yes, those are our servers. We'll get access to them. So it may be subset of it. For example, you may have 200 servers for which you are responsible. Okay, as a DevOps team. Now, how are you going to log into 200 different servers? The first thing our enterprises will try to ensure standards on the enterprise is they create a LDAP user for you. What is LDAP user? The LDAP is a software which will store username passwords. So it is a software to just simply store username passwords and also under which group you belong to, so that the moment you join an existing DevOps team, they will create a username for you, something related to your name, and they will add you to that group. So the moment you add that group to him, all the permissions existing team will have, he'll also get it. Okay, so we are going to use this. So you're not going to separately maintain username password locally. So the same password you can use to log into all the 200 servers. Okay, so that is how our companies simplify the login business. So there is no need to reset the password. There will be a portal where we can reset. The moment you reset, the new password is the same for all the servers again, and which will expire like 75 days or 90 days once. Okay, so it means that you don't log in with root. Okay, that is a very bad thing. Don't see internet and don't think, okay, I log in with root. You can never log in with root. Okay, it is completely blocked. Only personal username passwords will be used. So that is a simple thing you should understand. And in an enterprise, we have a standardized authentication. Okay, so that is our login everything. So it means that you'll always log in with your username, because tomorrow you somehow wantedly did something bad, right? It is easy for us to track. Okay, midnight, 2 o'clock, you wake up and you deleted something. I'll easily catch you because you logged in with your username. Okay, that is why in companies they tell don't share password, because someone can do damage behalf of you. So he will lose job. That is why they'll tell don't share, because all these kind of bad things people can do. So that is solved out. Now let us think that okay, my name is easy to user. Okay, I logged into the server. Now someone told me that okay, that Apache Tomcat is down on this server. Somehow it automatically got stopped. Now my manager told me go and start Apache Tomcat on this server. I know what is the command, everything, but the problem is how to under which username I should start it. So when you log into Windows, right, if you do Control Alt Delete, we can switch one user to other user, right? You know that with Control Alt Delete, I'll go to like switch user from one user to other user. We change in Windows laptop. So when we are running applications, means any running application, any Java application, .NET, right? We need to start, right? We need to start the application like with any command or any, we can double click. So under which user you are going to run is also very important, because right now I have username password for this user. So if I start any program and leave for the day, if any issue will come or if someone wants to restart it again, they cannot do it because I have started the program and only I can control it. So whichever user starts the program, only he can stop and restart it. It means that my shift is from 9 to 5. Okay, once 5 o'clock happens, I'll go to home. I don't want to be disturbed. So I don't want to be disturbed means we should have a consistency in the operations. So what we do is we create a application account. Okay, so let us create an application account. Application account is nothing but a local user. This is a central LDAP user, but we create a local user. To create a user, we can create a user, a command with user add. A user add is a command to create a new user. So user add, then I'll just type a name called Tomcat. Okay, before that, let us verify whether Tomcat is a user available or not. So ID is a command to verify whether a username is already there or not. If I do ec2-user, it will tell ec2-user is there. But if I tell ID Tomcat, okay, ID Tomcat, it will tell no such user because the user is not there. So let us go ahead and create a user. So again, let us run the same command. So the command is there now. So now there is a user called Tomcat. So what we do, remember that whenever you go to any company, it doesn't matter. Okay, you go to Google also, you go to startup also, everyone will follow the standard. So once we log in with our secure credentials, we switch to this user. So sudo su minus is a command to switch from one user to other user. So I'll switch to Tomcat, and then I am going to perform my operations with this Tomcat. Okay, and again, don't think okay, array, I switched to Tomcat, right? If I delete under Tomcat, they'll not catch me. They will catch you again. There are numerous ways of catching you, so never ever think to do any bad things to your company's thing. Okay, unnecessarily it will be a you lose job. Okay, so there are multiple ways of tracking what you're running on the Linux. So even though you switch to another user, we can still track you down to whether you only ran that command. Okay, so Tomcat. Okay, now I'll go to the location where Tomcat is there and I'll start the application. So when we start the application, the Tomcat will be running under the user Tomcat. Okay, means that software will be running on the user Tomcat. So later in the shift, right, again someone from my team logins in the second shift or night shift. If there is an issue, he can again do it. Why? Because again he will log in with his own username. He'll switch to the Tomcat and he'll start again doing the operations. Okay, that is how we make business continuity and ensure that applications are running on a consistent application ID. So here for Tomcat software created Tomcat, it's not mandatory you should create Tomcat. For Ansible, we'll create Ansible. Anyhow, I'll show you when we do that. For Docker, you'll create Docker. Okay, so like that, we'll create a name relevant to that software running on the server. Okay, clear? These are all the standards you should know. How we run, how we operate, how we check. Clear? Okay.
What's the
So
difference between su and sudo?
SU is a old command. It is deprecated now. That doesn't have all the capabilities now. It's a very old command.
But is it same as sudo?
I told right. It does not have all the capabilities of sudo.
Okay,
It
okay,
is
okay.
same, similar, not same, similar. You can tell.
Okay.
Same means it should be exactly same. So it is not same. It is similar.
What does su Hadoop EFS means? I know what Hadoop FS is, but what happens when you put su in front of Hadoop EFS? The other day I used it, but I didn't know what exactly
It's
it
the
is
same
for.
thing. You're switching to that Hadoop FS username, Hadoop file system. Hadoop has a file system, right? So you're changing to that user name called Hadoop FS, so that all the data you copy to that Hadoop, right? Hadoop FS is nothing but a group of connected data nodes, right? So your data will be there, but if you want to copy data to that server, you should be with the username Hadoop FS. That's all. You're changing your username, whatever the username you logged into Hadoop FS. That's again, see, there may be Hadoop software installed, so they named it as Hadoop FS. That's all. Okay, something to understand what software we are using. Okay, so now let us go and install some applications. Okay, right, because that is the most common thing you're going to do, right? You're going to help install a lot of tools in your enterprise because you are going to maintain a lot of software and you're going to simplify the installation of a lot of application. But before we automate application, first we need to know how to install manually, right? First, when you know installing manually, then only we can think about automating. So let us learn how to install any software on a Windows. But before we on Linux, but before we go there, there are a couple of things you should know. Is the first thing is there are a couple of terminologies. Okay, when compared to Windows, what do you call software in Linux? You don't call software. What do you call it? You call package. Don't tell I'm installing software. People will right away know that you don't even know Linux basics. Okay, don't tell software I'm installing software on Linux. It's a bad term. You tell I'm installing a package. It can be Oracle database, it can be Tomcat, it can be even a basic Apache web server also. Okay, so what do you call folder? Directory. Again, don't tell folder. Okay, and you don't tell I'm adding storage, you tell you are mounting storage. Okay, so mount. This is the basic term you should use. Okay, when we are interacting with someone, you should tell I am going to that directory. I am moving to the directory. I copied to the directory. Okay, I installed that package. I installed that package. I upgraded that package. So now let us go ahead and learn how to install a package. There are multiple ways of installing a package on the Red Hat or your Linux operating system. There are primarily three ways. So let us see all those three ways. The first one is uh, through yum. Not yum, let us see RPM. Okay, then let us see yum. Then let us see download. Okay, so not download. So these are the three ways we can install a package to a Linux operating system. What is RPM? So the only see for Linux, right? Anything you want to do, you need to run. Even you want to know the date command, you need to run date. Okay, so for everything there's a command. Okay, please remember that. Okay, even it's as silly as getting date also, you have a command. You want calendar, you need to run command. This is calendar. Today is 27. Okay, whatever you want to see, there is a command for that. Okay, so obviously there will be a command to install, but to install first we need to download anything, right? Because I don't have any browser, so I don't have any browser here open to go to Chrome and download that RPM file. So let us go and learn a tool how to install. For example, I want to install Chef software. Okay, so Chef is one kind of software I want to install. So download store. I'll go to that company's downloads page. Okay, and I'll try to install a software with the name Chef. Okay, Chef is also one old kind of DevOps software. Now, not many people are using. So I'm interested to install this Chef Infra client. This is a Linux package I want to install. And what is it? This is a small agent. This is an agent software, which is something I'm going to download and install as a package. So click on get it, or you can click on this link. I'll click on this link here. Okay. So it has taken me to this page, and as I told you, there are a lot of operating systems here: IBM AIX, Amazon Linux, Debian, Red Hat Linux, SUSE, Ubuntu. I told it whatever we discussed, most of them we see. You also see Mac OS and Windows, means our client side operating systems also. But my intention is RHL. So RHL, I told you Linux 8 is there, 7 is there, so they are different completely. So that sometimes the installation file will be little different. So, and which one we are going to supposed to download, guys, here in this four, which we need to download? In RHL 7 there are four. Which one we should download?
64?
Which 64? I am asking the number.
Two,
1,
two,
2, 3,
two,
4.
two. Is SHG 256?
The first one you're telling?
No, I'm telling there are so
You're
many.
telling
Okay.
first one, second one. Which one I'm asking? This is first one, guys. x86 underscore 64. This is architecture. It is little deep, but let me tell you one thing so that in future also it will be useful. Anytime you see x86, that means
Yeah,
that
that is
it is a
Windows.
what? Not Windows. That is why I told you. That is not Windows. That is not Microsoft ownership. That is Intel ownership. Okay. Intel
Intel, yeah.
owns x86. Okay. It is an Intel compatible processor. Okay. What is PPC then? That is IBM processor. Okay. These are IBM architecture. This is ARM architecture. ARM means your mother. Your see. Remember that the CPU on your mobile phone and the CPU on your computer are completely different. There is even not even a nano percent of resemblance also, because that is completely different architecture on the microprocessor level. On the level it will be completely different. Okay, so but the world runs on x86, but still there are some companies who dedicatedly use IBM hardware, okay, which are very powerful and very costly. That's not a concern. But whenever you download, you should blindly go with x86 and score 64. 64 means 64 bit. Okay. So let me copy this URL. Why am I copying URL? Because I don't have browser there, right? I can't simply copy this link and go to Linux because there is no browser there for me. So what I'll do, I'll copy this URL and go to my Linux server. And now what I'll do is there's a small tool called curl. A curl software will help you download packages from the internet. Okay, I'll just run this command. What it will do? It will download. You see here, it has downloaded this 25 MB software now, and which is .rpm at the ending. So whenever you want to install any package, it should be .rpm, and the only authorized command will be rpm command. So rpm -ivh, and give the package as an input. Remember that the curl command will act like a command line browser for you. Okay, you don't need to have browser on the Linux to download something. You can do curl -o and give the URL. It will download. Clear? Now I have rpm command. Ivh are the commands to install the package. Okay. So IVH to install. There are other options to uninstall and check, but IVH is for installation. So if you run it, it will give you a progress. Okay, it is not having enough permission. You need to put sudo when you install. So it will also show you the progress of installing, okay, telling that, okay, 30%, 40, 60, like that, okay. Once it properly installs everything, it will tell you, thank you for installing Chef Infra client. It means that it was successfully able to install it. So now it has installed. Okay. So how to verify whether it's installed? I don't have again what you call something like what you call. I don't have control panel again like programs and files. So again using RPM command only, I will check. RPMF and QA is to do the query. So I don't remember the exact version I remember install. I just put chuff. So QA will go and check whether there is any package with the name chef installed. You don't need to give the exact name also. Okay. So I think I can see that the same version which we installed came back as an answer. So this is how we can simply determine whether there's a package installed or not. Anyone will ask you any question. This is your standard command. Okay, and if you don't get anything right, you also can run rpf and qa. If you run this command, each and every package installed on your operating system will come, and it will throw a very large output. It means at least 200-300 lines will come, because there are small packages installed. So 200-300 lines will come. Okay, you can run this. Okay, I'm not going to run because it will throw a very large output on the screen, which will not look good. Okay, but you can run this, which will show you everything. Then you can later scroll down slowly and check what else software you installed. Okay. Now I want to uninstall it because I installed it, but later the purpose of this software is completed. I want to uninstall. rpm-e is a command to remove it. Chef, we need the exact version when we are uninstalling. So anyhow, you can get it with q command. So insert, run it. Sorry, again I need sudo. Why am I doing sudo is to elevate my permissions. Okay, because some activities are admin level activities. For admin level activities, you need sudo. Okay. So it is uninstalled. It is very fast, right? Let us go and do the check command. Did I get any answer? It means that it has uninstalled. This is one way. Okay. So this is one of the most common way of installing. And whenever you download any of the binaries, when we download Ansible, we'll have RPM file. When we install Kubernetes, everything, when we are installing, we will have RPM files. We'll download from their respective websites. But there is also other way of installing packages, which is yum command. So what is this yum command then? The yum command is also a same command which in turn uses RPM, but the difference of yum is it will act like a command line app store. You all have app store on your mobile phone, right? For installing anything, right, what you do, you simply go to app store, you search that, you click install. When you hit install, there will be a couple of things happening. Three things will happen. It will download, it will install, it will verify, right? You also know at the ending it will verify. If you see for 1 second, 2 seconds, it will tell verifying. So there will be three things. So the same three things your yum command will do. So here it will decrease the activity of going to that website, running curl command, all those things. So it will simplify our life little bit. But you can tell, why can't I use yum every time? So yum is a command which will only have a open source softwares in it. Don't expect every software to be available in yum, because yum is maintained by Red Hat, so he can't download a paid Oracle software and place it there. So there'll be conflict. So when you want to install all these basic tools, right, all inside the yum, it will be there. So you can just run something like yum install. For example, you want to install unzip. Okay, unzip is a command to unzip a zip file. If it is already installed, it will tell it is installed. Otherwise, it will come up with a pop-up that, okay, are you sure you want to install or not? When you run the first time, you see this output, but not every time. You see now, it is telling a package unzip is there, version 6 here, and it is telling the size is 171 KB. So not even 1 MB, it is 170 KB. Okay. So like this, it will show you. So now you see here, I am simplifying my process. If I do yes, it will go ahead. Installed unzip. Okay, the unzip has been installed. So it is that simple now. Okay, so you also can use yum, but yum only has all these basic utilities we use. Okay, when we boot up the new operating system, right, there are a lot of basic utilities you may need, right? All those things will be in the yum, but don't expect enterprise softwares or all these tools. It will only have all this basic, most important what you call utilities or all these kind of tools. Clear? Now the third way is what is the third way now? Runtime binaries. Sometimes, right, in the Linux world, they'll directly give you a file which we can right away take it and run it. Means we don't even need to install it. The moment you download and unzip it, we can right away use it. But before that, let us install Java. Okay. But I don't know whether Java is there. I can also do yum search. Okay, yum search Java. If I do, it will go to this app store and it will give us a location of a list of apps with the name Java. It is like going and searching in the app store only. Okay. So you see, these are all the names in the app store with the name Java. but I am concerned. See, it is a very lengthy output, guys. Okay, there are a lot of things related to Java here. Where is my command start? Okay, this is where my command started. Yum search Java, and you see how many possible options we got. Not everything is Java. In the sometimes it is in the description, so not everything is Java. They are all something related to Java. But you see, you got a lengthy output. But let us search the name for Java here, exact Java, to install. You see, this is what the actual Java is. Java 1.80 OpenJDK. Okay, so this is something I want. Let us go ahead and install it. Okay, this is the name. Copy. So I don't need to search. I can search on this store. So now I'll do yum install. Okay, and there will be one more advantage with yum, which is missing from RPM, which I'll show you in a minute. So you asked to only install one, right? What did you ask? We asked as we ran a simple command to install Java. I only told to install one package only, Java package. But now it is showing me that installing Java, it is fine because I asked. But why it is installing all of this? Because the yum has a capability to automatically find the dependencies. Means a lot of times, right, your software will have dependency with other software. Means if you install that software, then only your software will run. That kind of dependency will be there. So the yum command has the capability to automatically resolve these dependencies for you. Okay, and it will come up with all the things it needs. Understood? That is why it is advantage of. But as I told you, whenever you have a leverage, you can use yum. If it is not there in yum, then you go to that official website, download RPM and install it. But if you have option to install through yum, install through yum. It is seamless process. Okay, so this is an advantage. For RPM, what you should do, you should download all of these RPMs by yourself, then install. So it's installing Java. Once you install Java, uh, how to find out whether there is a program running or not is which command will tell you whether. So for example, I want to know whether vi command is there or not. Vi is also tool, right? So I want to know whether vi tool is there or not. If I do which vi, it will give us the location where the vi tool is installed. So vi is tool is installed. For example, even not vi, for example, I want to know mkdir command is there or not. See, which command will work only for programs. Don't use which for your files and all these things. It will not work. Which will work for your installed programs. Okay. So I think I installed Java. I am confident on it. So if I run it, I should get an answer. Yes, it means that Java is there. So now let us do Java hyphen version to see the Java. So yes, I have OpenJDK, which is 1.80252. So we have Java now. Okay. So that is how you verify whether it's an application installed, what is the location. So now let's go and see the third way, runtime binary. So I want to install Apache Tomcat. Okay. Let me search Apache Tomcat download in Google. So I have typed Apache Tomcat download in my browser and I get a lot of results here. Okay. Apache Tomcat I want to download, then I'll use the topmost link because it is pointing to the correct website. So click on it. Okay, so Apache 8.5 tar.gz. Now copy link address. Now let us download it. Okay, it is here. It is asking us to download because tar.gz.zip. I'll use tar.gz. Copy link address. I am downloading with my curl -o and the complete URL. Okay, hit enter. It is downloading. ls manage. You see it has download Apache Tomcat, okay, which is around 9.9 MB. The software is 9.9 MB software. So first you see this is a gz, which is something compressed, so we need to uncompress it. And there is also tar, we need to untar it. So there are two things. So tar zxf will untar and unzip in both single command. Okay, so if you want, you can go back and see what the tar command is. Let it enter, and if I run this command, see I have uncompress it. But when I uncompress, right, you should expect to see an RPM file, right? But I don't see a RPM file. I see a folder. So let us go inside this folder. So I don't see any file important installation files. I only see all these files and folders. Why? Because this application is already installed. You don't need to specially install. This is runtime application. The moment we have it, we can right away use it. So now here, how to start this program? We will have a directory called bin directory. So let me go to the bin directory and do ls. I have a program called startup.sh. So for Tomcat, it is a startup.sh program. Okay. So if you see this message properly Tomcat started, it means that the Tomcat is properly up and running. So now let me go to this website and let me go to our what you call our server, sample server, and copy the host name here or IP address, whichever is fine for you. I'll copy the host name. Okay, okay, completely copy the string. Control C, then do HTTP colon slash slash on what is the port on which your Tomcat runs by default to access its application. What's the Tomcat
808.
default port? 8080. So if I hit this directly without any port, it will tell site can't be reached because it is not that port. If you do 8080, you should get a Tomcat if we really properly installed it. You see, we have a Tomcat, and this is not from any internet. This is from our own website. If you want, I can even replace this with the IP address. It will work. Okay, I'll take this IP address, http colon slash slash. Working perfectly. Okay, so that is hostname or IP address, anything is fine, right? So Apache Tomcat is running. So that is how you this is one way. For a Tomcat, you don't need to install also. Just download it, unzip it, start using it. So these are the three ways you have applications where you can download and install. Clear? One is RPM, one is yum, one is runtime binary. Clear, guys? Okay, understood?
Yes.
Okay, then have a good day, guys. Thank you.